John Ahmed back with another video. This is going to be my first album review, and this is going to be of Don Q's newest project, Corleone. And I don't know how like the copyright system works with like images and showing people's albums or whatever. So I'm gonna go back and forth when I'm like talking about a specific track or when I'm talking about the overall album. You know, I'll share screen when I'm talking about a specific track and going track by track, and then more general when I'm sort of talking about the album in general. So I'm going to go into what I thought about the album, where I rate it, and what I feel like it means for Don Q's career. But let's start from just my general thoughts on the album. And to be honest, I thought it was a really great album. Honestly, the flows were absolutely incredible and really, really enjoyable. The hold on a sec. The flows were absolutely incredible. The bars and the rhyme schemes. The rhyme scheme was crazy. The beats, while a little bit repetitive, I really enjoyed all, and simple as well. I really enjoyed all of them. I really enjoyed how he sort of took his flair and brought it to different kinds of tracks. So he brought it onto a drill track. He brought it onto a twerk song with Dream Doll. And he really, I felt like, elevated his sound where, I think a lot of underground, because Don Q, I think we can classify Don Q. He does have a major label, but I think that we can classify him as an underground artist for now. I think a lot of underground artists get trapped in this, oh, I gotta be lyrical, miracle, spiritual. And the reason why motherfuckers don't listen to my shit is because they just not hip to the bars. But I feel like Don Q is really making a concerted effort to make the music sound enjoyable. Every single song on this list, I could play with the boys. I could see played on the radio. Every single song on this album. And that was really impressive to me because, again, people really see Don Q as like, oh, he's just that lyricist over there who does his thing and talks about the hood. No, he is making music that has a wide appeal and that, in my opinion, a lot of people could resonate with. And I'm just going to go into the track list now, but there was a lot of really good songs on there. Get into it. So let's start. So this is the album, Corleone. So of course, first song is Don't Judge Me. Don't Judge Me, very, very, very strong track. It is kind of this, I personally, as an activist, very much believe and enjoy this kind of song because it recognizes that while of course we do our best to do the right thing and to work hard and sort of be the stand-up people for our family and friends, there's still mistakes that we're going to make. There's still difficulties that we're going to run into, right? And depending on where you come from, those difficulties are going to look different. And so for some people, it may be a toxic relationship. For some, it may be getting involved in the legal system. But it was a really cool track. And I really felt the ability to resonate with his sentiment. And of course, the flow, the beats, the lyrics, the rhyme schemes were incredible. And so it flowed very, very, very nicely. Experience was more of a hit track, more of a radio friendly track. This song came out prior to the album coming out. This is one of the songs that the leading singles for the album, and damn, this track hit. This track, the flow, the sort of high energy beat, the chorus, oh my goodness, the way the chorus and the rhymes in the chorus was fire. Wasn't the biggest fan of the I Swear Vezo feature. I think it's growing on me, but his flow is really, really weird to me. And it's hard because on one hand, I love the accent. I love his accent because I love when hip hop artists bring their own accent to whatever style that they're doing. But I think the flow, and I get it, that's a style of rap that, I think he's from Cali. I would be shocked if he was not from Cali. But that is definitely a style. Doesn't say. That is definitely a style that you hear from some Cali rappers, especially newer age people that flow. But I enjoyed his contribution to the song regardless. I felt like he brought a different energy that was well needed and sort of made the song more dynamic. Um, Two Tone AP by 42 Doug. You all will, probably get to know this as I talk about my hot takes and musical opinions, but and of course, free 42 Doug, get them in out the cage, with jail on nobody unless they deserve it. Um, but I am not a fan of 42 Doug's music. Um, I I think 42 Doug is one of those few people where like I don't even really get the appeal, to be honest. I just don't like the sound of his voice. It's really gravelly. It just sounds unfinished and almost like whiny a little bit. And it's not like bar wise, he's doing anything ultra conceptual or like hardcore, bar heavy or anything like that, or like crazy flows or cadences. And so it really just makes for a difficult experience. I felt like NBA YoungBoy and was like really like and 6ix9ine when he's screaming, um back when he was a decent artist. I think that was kind of the limit for like annoying voices that I was willing to tolerate. And Lil Wayne on the Carter 3 too was like the limit of like, okay, this voice is kind of annoying, but you know what, it's okay, we'll deal with it. 42 Doug is like, all right, bro, like, dog, come on, dog. But I will say this definitely sounded like a 42 Doug beat. He definitely felt comfortable on the record. And so for people who do like 42 Doug and his music, you're gonna enjoy this one. Don's verse is of course very, very good. Um, the um, the way that they go back and forth is quite impressive. I really enjoyed, having them sort of go back and forth with flows and things of that nature. But definitely my least favorite song off the album, mainly for 42 Doug's contribution. I just feel like it makes the track unlistenable for me personally. But like I said, if you're a fan of 42 Doug, you're not gonna mind this track. Hit List. Hit List is probably my favorite song off of the album. I cannot lie to you. This is like um it is both a hit, right, in the title, but it's a hit song. It's got this dope chorus and these like super like mass appeal flows that you're gonna get, but it's the bars is crazy. I think at one point he's like, I could have been dissing on the dead, but I'm trying to keep my distance from the feds. Like bro, like stuff like that is crazy. Um, and he really like showed his shit lyrically on the song, but it's also a hit. And that's what I love about this album, but especially this song, is that he doesn't sacrifice the lyrics, he doesn't sacrifice the quotables, the street talk for the bangers. You see what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, Hit List, probably my favorite song off the album. Like, absolutely amazing. Shake Some was cool. I liked it. I really enjoyed Dream Doll's verse. I'm sort of slowly getting into this more the feminine strand of rap. Nicki Minaj is, let me see if I have it. Nicki Minaj is my top five, one of my in my top five. Got the vinyl. May go. I may actually do a vinyl collection thing because I do collect vinyls pretty soon. So I am getting into this new wave of the female rap, sort of deeper. I think for a while I just kind of was cool with the hits, but didn't really take it seriously from like an analysis perspective. But I think as I move forward, I'm trying to take it serious from an analysis perspective and look at who I enjoy and who I don't enjoy and who's quality and who's not quality. And this was a really it was a pretty cool song. It felt like Don Q, it was harder for him delivery wise to fit on this song, but um, lyrically he did a pretty good job. Dream Boss feature was actually really good. I saw her in concert recently, and I really enjoyed her. I feel like she's got great energy, and she's got some bars. It's not like the craziest over your head, like bro, what? But it's also like not, it's not bubblegum rap. It's definitely got punches to it. And overall, I thought this was a decent song. Not my favorite off the album because um, A, of course, it just doesn't resonate with me. But B, I feel like um, Don's delivery just felt really weird on here. But I also respect his effort to sort of make a twerk song and try that out and see how it goes. Um, so yeah, that's said something. Bottom line, another one of my favorite songs off the album. You all will sort of eventually find out that I'm a massive, massive fan of New York drill music, and we'll get into that discussion later. But I am a big fan of New York drill music when it is done well. And Roddy Rebel is one of, I think, the best New York drill artists right now who's really killing it. His song, Roddy vs. Rebel, genuinely one of the best drill songs this year. Genuinely. That first verse was insane. Rebel seeing green. Was it Roddy seeing green? Rebel seeing black. Insane. So bottom line was a great song. It was nice to see Don Q on a drill beat. Super interesting. He fit very well, actually. He fit very well because he still got the New York accent and all that. And so it really, really worked. And it was a dark, gritty track. Really enjoyed it. Again, another hit, another like I could play this with the squad. I could play this by myself. It's whatever. Keisha's spot was more of a sort of storytelling type of song, um, but still very, very strong. Uh, I think that this was cool because we got to see a bit of a deeper side to Dawn. Um, and that was honestly great to see. Um, and yeah, I really enjoyed Keisha's spot. Honestly, I don't know if I had it as the best, and I'm gonna give y'all what I think is the best few songs on the album, but I don't think this was the best song on the album, but definitely a top two uh top three song on the album, just for the rawness and the honesty that he had on this on this track. Um, don't Get Me Started, a song with A Boogie. And again, with these features, what I really enjoy and what I'm a sucker for is when you're gonna try something new and you get a feature to help you get into that mode. And production wise, he's adding a little bit of instruments. He's sort of really trying to do something a bit different with the production. And he's fitting on it. He's writing well. And A Boogie just comes and just the guitar, that's his stuff. I will say sort of, and we'll get into some of the problems later. This was a bright spot on the track list because up to this point, the beats were really repetitive. And like I said, I'm going to talk about it later, but I think that is the biggest problem with the record. And so this sort of shown as a bright spot because it was one of it felt like a bit of a different beat, with something with a lot of different elements to it, but it definitely sort of stood out. Yeah, right. Name drop. So this was interesting. It definitely was a cool song, but I think I wasn't as big of a fan of the chorus. Dusty Locane verse is really enjoyable to me. I genuinely enjoy Dusty Locane on a track. But the production was really, I was not a fan of it. I did not like it at all. The sort of the signature sort of moving 808, I don't know how to describe it, felt really panned and like flat, and the beat really just messes this song up, honestly, for me at least. And it was just kind of, I don't know, it really suffered. But beyond that, Don Q's verse was pretty good, honestly, pretty great. Dusty Locane did his thing on the track, but it was really just like, this is one of those situations where I feel like, you know, it could have had an easy fix, right? Don could just say, "Oh, yo, make this more dynamic, make this, you know, more colorful, more whatever," and you would have had a more dynamic. That's the best word for it. But you know, would have had an easy fix. But I felt like as it is now, it's definitely one of the weaker songs on the album. And so yeah, that's Name Drop. All I Need, again, another more vulnerable track on the album where he's just kind of talking about the the sort of necessities that he needs and some of his relationships and things of that nature. But honestly, I really enjoyed it. Again, I talk about delivery a lot, and unlike a song like Shake Some, where I felt like he didn't change his delivery, and as a result, like the song suffered. I felt like All I Need, he changed up his delivery to make himself come off as a bit more genuine, and it really worked for him. Same thing for this thing of ours. Both of them, I feel like, you know, super strong tracks, because he was able to change up his delivery. The instrumental changed up just a little bit, and he really shown that he was able to kind of um, give a more deep and introspective look into his life, that was honestly really enjoyable. The G Herbo feature was great. I don't mind G Herbo. Honestly, a lot of people hate him for rapping off beat, and he does. He does. He does not rap on beat, but it wasn't that bad in this song. He seemed to just be matching Don's flow as best as he could. But the lyrics, man, the lyrics, the deepness was absolutely there. So yeah, that was All I Need in this thing of ours. So yeah, overall, like I said, really enjoyed the record. The only problem was, I think all of these songs as singles, and I'm gonna pull up my sort of feelings and ratings on the song, but I think as individual songs, all of these songs were good, and most of these songs were great or amazing. But as an album, there's this line between sort of there's these like there's this sort of like fine line between incohesive, cohesive, and repetitive. And I'll talk about that in different occasions, but I feel like this felt on the repetitive side, and that was the biggest problem with the record, to be honest. It felt like delivery wise, he didn't really go out of his way to change it up. Flow wise, there really wasn't that many different flows. They were the flow he used was good, but there weren't any different flows. There wasn't any mix up. There wasn't faster flows, slower flows, melodic flows. There was just kind of this one delivery that, again, is solid. But when that's all you're bringing for a whole record, it can get kind of stale, especially when, you know, you don't have a variation or super layered beats to make up for that. Because that's the thing, right? Is that it's not the worst thing in the world to have a one flow, one dimensional kind of thing, but you have to bring in other things to be able to bring that variance, right? So, like Pusha T, for example, sure, he didn't have the most variance when it came to flows or delivery, but the layering in the beats was incredible enough to where the music still felt fresh and dynamic. But for Don Q, I felt like, you know, there weren't a lot of mix up on the flows, and the beats really lacked a lot of layering and a lot of like sort of it didn't have any interesting sort of tidbits about them. They all just kind of felt like standard, just like Moneybag Yo or just regular trap beats. Um, the other thing with this record is that maybe holds it back a little bit, and I kind of just mentioned it earlier, is that he does sound a lot like Moneybagg Yo. I don't know if I'm the only person to notice this, and I don't know who came up if their voices. I think it's just that their voices sound similar. Honestly, I don't think it's that he's. And I think Moneybagg Yo has a faster flow than Don Q does, and they have different accents, but vocally they just sound very, very, very similar to me. You all can tell me what you think about that. But that was it. That was kind of the thing for me. And so again, the beats weren't inherently bad, but they were definitely a little bit simple, right? And I'm not saying that you need to reinvent the wheel every single time you put out, but and we're going to get into this later, when you are competing against other New York artists who are bringing that kind of thing, you have to be able to elevate and bring different styles and swags. And I felt like he wasn't fully able to do all of that. So yeah, anyway, let's get into my rating of it and how I did it. Let's see. Notes. Here we go. All right, so let's get into this. So Corleone, I gave it a great in the writing department. It, like I said, it was, every song was focused. I felt like every song had a specific point to prove and a thing that it was talking about. The rhyme schemes were wonderful, but the things holding it back from being amazing, I felt were, there were no like highly complex bars like an Eminem or a Joyner or a J. Cole, and there was no highly complex bars that were like, that felt like they required any kind of like intense forethought. And also, he didn't, make like it wasn't really like a Kendrick either, where he made up for it with deep concepts either. The introspection, while good, was very basic. And, I would love to see sort of him go into the real depths of his mind. But overall, still great writing, just not not amazing or perfect, because there is still areas in which I feel like he could be stronger. Flows were good. Honestly, this was a thing where, like I said, if we're just talking about if we're talking about single to single to single flows, I would have said great, right? But again, when you have only like one delivery or two deliveries and your flow doesn't really switch up that much, it definitely marks you down a little bit. But his flow, despite that, holding him back rating wise, all of the flows were still really enjoyable to listen to and absolutely added to the record. If you don't know, for me, the way I see it is that if it's good, it added to the record, right? If it's mid, it did nothing for the record, and if it was bad, it hurt the record. That's kind of the way I see it. And then great, amazing, perfect, that's like it does more and more and more. And great, amazing, perfect is where we start to get into like real objective criteria and things of that nature. But the flows were good. I just felt like if maybe he had brought more variation, that would have been nice to see. But if that's the flow he's comfortable with, then that's the flow he's comfortable with. The production and creativity I put as mid, because as I said, the beats were kind of simple. And while it was nice because I enjoyed the beats, the lack of complexity did hold the record back. So that kind of cancels out. And then creativity, I'm not too familiar with Don's prior work, but from what I've heard, I don't really feel like lyrically he is making a really big progression. And flow wise, I feel like he did do a pretty good job, but again, it was that repetitiveness that we talked about. And also, I think the hard part with Dawn right now as well is that, and I'll get into this in my sort of top New York rappers, I think I'll make a mid-year list. I think I'll make a mid-year list of who I think is popping off in the middle of the year. But I think that it's also hard because Don needs to do something to separate himself, right? Even if we're just going to talk about New York, right? He needs to do something to separate himself from the people, from his sort of like sort of pack of rappers who are, in my mind, in his lane. So people like Benny the Butcher, people like Conway, people like Sleepy Hollow, with these sort of like um, more baritone, not Pop Smoke, but more baritone deliveries who talk about trapping and things, and the hardcore street life, with more panned back, more hollow beats. Well, I guess Griselda has Alchemist, so it's not really hollow, but more boom bap, I should say, style beats. Um, it didn't feel like he did much to separate himself from the fields in a lot of ways. The features were honestly amazing. I'm still flirting with this. I'm debating between great and amazing, and I think I think I'm going to put great. Honestly, I put amazing just kind of as a knee jerk reaction to the A Boogie verse. But when I think about it in its totality, it was, everybody did their thing, and some people had excellent verses. Like, of course, like I said, A Boogie and G Herbo, but there were like a lot of the verses, they were good, but they weren't like groundbreaking. And that's partially due to the artists who he got on. None of them are like these like hardcore, like incredible, like, I don't expect groundbreaking features from them. And so part of it was that. But also I think that they all could have done a little bit better. I've heard better from most of them to reasonable degrees. And then, of course, for me, like I said, the 42 Doug feature kind of the 42 Doug feature kind of cancels out the A Boogie feature for me a little bit, as like a really great feature and then like kind of a whatever feature. And so, yeah, but honestly, like I said, features definitely added to the record. And the reason why I put it as good rather than great, and this is something that I want people to understand when it comes to features, is that everything was well placed. Everybody was where they needed to be, right? You had Dusty and Rowdy, excuse me, on drill tracks. You had uh, Dream Doll on a twerk track. You had A Boogie on a guitar track. Everyone was where they needed to be. So that's why it's above the good category. And the musical execution was amazing. Honestly, like I said, this was that, and this might be the strongest point of the record, is simply that every single song I could bump, every single song I was nodding my head at least a little bit. And I could see myself genuinely playing this song with all the squad, with the squad. Um, and it was just that was like the most incredible part to me. And it really took me a couple listens to peel back and see some of the more glaring issues, because the soundscape for me was just so enjoyable, right? And so overall, as I said in the beginning, I give it a great rating. Would love to see you all check it out. I don't know how many of you have heard it, but for those who have, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments. I definitely, like I said, I really enjoyed the record. Definitely may not be in the top 10 greatest records this year, but definitely will be in some of my favorite records this year. And this definitely, I'm gonna take the screen share off, put Don Q on the map for me, and it definitely has me more cued into my music. And right now, I will say right now, like I said, I ain't gonna get too deep because I'm gonna get into the year-end list. I'll get into the year that at the end of the 2022, I'll get into sort of who I think is the top 10 of the 2020s right now. And middle of this year, I may get into the best album so far coming out of New York artists this year. But right now, overall in the 2020 decades, if we just take everyone's discography in the 2020s and have his album, I would put him at number 9. I'm not gonna tell you who's above him, who's below him. I ain't gonna say none of that. I'm gonna just say, as of right now, his discography, his musical execution, all of that, I would put him at number 9, which is nothing to scoff at, because there are a lot of New York artists. and a lot of New York artists who he beat. And so, yeah, but keep in mind, this list is destined to change a little bit. If people go up, you know, some people can go up, some people can go down. So we'll see how, if he can hold on to that ninth place or hold on to that top 10 spot, or if maybe if a Joey knocks him off, or if I have to listen to J.I. the Prince album. That's going to be the next review, by the way, the new J.I. the Prince record. If he knocks him off, or if he can sort of, or if J.I. doesn't perform as well, then he stays on the list, whatever. But right now, I think overall he's number 9 in New York, the way I see it. Also, just to keep in mind, actually, no, I'm gonna get into that when I talk about how I group stuff. But yeah, anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Hope you all have a great day, and make sure to like and subscribe to the video. Can't forget to say that. All right, peace, y'all.